Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Makal double honors to the elders of GMS who were well. Peace and salutations to the elect Akim, the hopeful elect, on the pushing the truth on the four corners of this earth. Peace be unto you. Shalom. This is going to go into lepers. How everybody's not going to look super dark, like how some Israel teaches. This is Matthew 8:1. And when he was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. And behold, there came a leper and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. Now, also just want to touch on this point. Why does it specify there came a leper? If everybody's coming and, the multitude came and they specify that there's a leper, then that means there weren't that many lepers that were coming amongst that great multitude. This was a leper, somebody who didn't have their pigmentation. And they came, they was amongst the multitude. This is Leviticus 13 and verse 13. Leviticus 13:12. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that hath the plague from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh. In modern day, they call that vitiligo. But, there's a plague that, sometimes, you get leprosy in certain spots. This is talking about from your head, from your crown, all the way to the soles of your feet. Verse 13, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. It is all turned white. He is clean. So leprosy consists of somebody's skin completely turned white. But when raw flesh appeareth in him, he shall be unclean. Because since that raw flesh is that skin underneath, you get sunburns and all stuff. Now you're unclean. And the priest shall see the raw flesh and pronounce him to be unclean, for the raw flesh is unclean. It is a leprosy. Or if the raw flesh turn again and be changed unto white, he shall come unto the priest, and the priest shall see him. And behold, if the plague be turned into white, then the priest shall pronounce him clean that hath the plague. He is clean. The flesh also, in which even the skin thereof was a boil, and is healed. So boils, if you left out in the sun too long, that shit'll cook you. You'll get boils and stuff. You can see, I'm not going to pull up any, but you can see a white person who's been in the sun too long without suntan lotion. They get boils. So leprosy is consistent with having white skin. And I'm going to start from the top. It says, when he was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. And behold, there came a leper. So scripture says there came a leper amongst the great multitude. Why does it say, why does it mention him? Because he was the one, amongst the multitude that was a leper. He wanted to be cleansed. Verse 3, and Yahushai put forth his hand, and touched him, saying, I will be thou clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. So he got his pigmentation back. This is a miracle that's light. It's a light miracle. This is Exodus chapter 4, verse 1 through 6. And Moses answered and said, but behold, they will not believe me nor hearken unto my voice, for they will say, Yahweh have not appeared unto thee. And Yahweh said unto him, what is that in thine hand? And he said, a rod. And he said, cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And Yahweh said unto Moses, put forth thine hand and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. And that they may believe that Yahweh Elohim of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, hath appeared unto thee. And Yahweh said furthermore unto him, put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. So that gives you indication of what his skin color was prior to his hand being leprosy. Because what's the point? What miracle is it if you white and you put your hand in your bosom and you take it out and it's still white? The miracle is it changed colors. Verse 7, and he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. So the same hand that was just turned white, he put it again. Reading on, it says, and he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. So other flesh, meaning the flesh of his other hand, the rest of his body. It changed back colors again. So that's, a light thing. This is a miracle that's been performed before, so it was a light thing for the Yahweh Shai to cleanse him. This is Matthew 8:3. It says, and Yahweh Shai put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Yahweh Shai saith unto him, see thou tell no man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for a testimony unto them. And when Yahweh Shai was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion beseeching him, and saying, Lord, my servant lieth at the home, sick of palsy, grievously tormented. That's it on that verse, actually, shall I say. I want to go in Luke. I was just touching that, there are, brothers that's going to be, pure lepers, or be, have white skin. This is Luke chapter 4, verse 23. And he said unto them, ye will surely say unto me this proverb, physician, heal thyself. Whatsoever we have heard done in Capernaum, do also here in thy country. Verse 24. And he said, verily I say unto you, no prophet is accepted in his own country. But I tell you of a truth, many widows were in Israel in the days of Elias, when the heaven was shut up 3 years and 6 months, when great famine was throughout the land. But unto none of them was Elias sent, save the Sarepta, a city of Sidon, unto a woman that was a widow. And many lepers were in Israel in the time of Elias the prophet, and none of them was cleansed, saving Nahum the Syrian. And all they in the synagogue, when they heard these things, were filled with wrath, and rose up and thrust him out the city, and led him unto the brow of the hill whereon their city was built, that they might cast him down headlong. But he, passing through the midst of them, went his way. So they were attempting to kill him. Now let's examine what we just wrote in verse, not Slaki, what we wrote, Satan, what we just read. Luke 4:27 says that many lepers were in Israel in the time of Elias the prophet. You had leprosy villages where, people who were outcast. They were basically in, villages. And only person that was cleansed was Nahum the Syrian. So what he's implying is that you had Israelites who had white skin. And he said, matter of fact, not only did you have Israelites that had white skin, but there were many of them. So what do you think they did? Now, verse 25, it says, but I tell you of a truth, many widows were in Israel in the days of Elias, when the heaven was shut up 3 years and 6 months, when great famine was throughout the land. So here you are, widows weren't being taken care of. So what is he implying? Those lepers were, a lot of the times, were men. Those lepers were getting with those widows, and guess what? They were having children. Those lepers, they had children. It's not like they were just, put out in the village and just didn't do anything. They had kids. What do you think their kids gonna look like? They're gonna have white skin. That's what he was implying, and the idea of, because that's what pissed them off, is because he was implying that, there was a lot of single women and there was a lot of white people. That's basically what they was hearing, but they weren't hearing, like, because they were under Roman captivity. So they weren't receptive to Romans like that. So they hear that, they're saying, oh, no, he trying to say that, we down with the Edomites, and that's not what he was saying. But he was basically saying that you're going to have some people who's going to just be unfortunate to have white skin, but they're still a brother. And on that note, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders of GMS who were well. Peace and salutations, and shalom.